welcome to Caribbean Focus. I am your host, Hermina Marcellin, and what you just listened to is a performance by Miss Pat Nurse. Miss Nurse is a Trinidadian born author, costume designer, producer for children's band Carrie Can Costumes in New York and a professor at Medgar Evers College. Welcome to Caribbean Focus, Miss Nurse.
Thank you for having me. And that was a piece that we practicing to play for Fort Greene on the 23rd of December.
Great. And as we can hear, this is indeed still pan. Okay. And, you know, it is a rendition I could hear, and I'm pretty sure our listening audience can hear this rendition of Silent Night. So, could you tell us a little more about the music that we just listened to?
Oh, well, in last year we had offered a free course to the public to learn to play the pan or do costume design. Because I was interested, I already knew how to do the costume, so I decided I will do the pan. I always wanted to play the pan from a child, but never got the opportunity. And last year, I had the opportunity to be a beginner. I am still a beginner. I'm learning because there is so much to learn and techniques and different things like that. So after we had a graduation at Viadka, the summer came and then my timing blended in with my friend Dr. Mavis, who invited me to play with them at Remsen, where I learned these tunes under Alston Jack. So we practiced it, and as a beginner, I was the last person in there learning. So everyone encouraged me, and I kept playing, and then COVID came and you had to stay inside. So now we are doing distant practicing, and we will be doing a Zoom performance for Fort Greene on the 23rd of December.
And you mentioned you learning, and you're still learning to play pan. Could you elaborate more on what that is?
Well, the tenor pan is the lead pan, the pan that carries the music, the key part of the music. And there are other pans that do arrangement. The pan that I play, the tenor pan that I play is the D pan. There's also the C pan, but and then those are the lead pans, as we would say, and then you have the double tenors, the guitar, the cello, the bass, and the rhythm section that fills in. But the tenor pan is the pan that takes the music to wherever you want it to go. So I was interested in learning, and it's easier for me to carry around one pan than a bass pan or double second. So, and I'm in love with the tenor pan. So this is why I gravitated towards the tenor pan.
And steel pan has its origin in Trinidad and Tobago, where you're from. So, as a panist, what has been your greatest influence?
My greatest influence as far as the pan is concerned, I lived it, I saw it all my life, and I wanted to be part of it when I was in high school, but there was a stigma attached to the pan. And some boys weren't allowed to play, much more a girl. But now all of that has been changed, and there are a lot of female panists that play. And I came along looking at it, and last year I got the opportunity, and I wish that I could have gone back, but I'm just going to go forward.
And you're not only a panist playing a steel pan, but you're also an author. May you share with our listening audience about your books? Um, A Warm, Warm Christmas, and also your project, How to Write Effective Essays and Research Paper.
Okay, so a warm, warm Christmas is normally when you would look on television and you would see a lot of Christmas movies. They're in winter and everything is about winter and it's beautiful. And I enjoy the love story and the family and all the relationships. But it came to me last year, why not take the same December and Christmas and take it to the Caribbean? So what I did is my main character, whose name is Chrissy, she took her vacation from England to America, to Canada, back to America, and got on the wrong plane and ended up in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago, where she was taught about the foods, the music, and she enjoyed a warm, warm Christmas. She was amazed actually because they were playing all these snow, these songs about snow and Santa Claus, but yet the temperature was 98 and more. And she talked about that it was her first time and she really enjoyed being in the Caribbean for Christmas. So she called it a warm, warm Christmas.
And again, with again you writing your book on a warm, warm Christmas, you're also taking an educational approach as well in writing how to write effective essays and research paper. So could you tell us a little bit about that? And even for our students who are listening, could you tell us a little bit, or maybe one of the key points in writing effective uh, essays?
Okay, I was teaching a class at LaGuardia Community College, uh, English 101, and they told me that the student had to take an exam. And it was my first time teaching at LaGuardia, and I realized, how can I make them understand? How can I give them a formula? And I got really nervous and I started working on a formula, how to write effective essays and research papers. And the students, I gave them the formula and we worked with it. And those students did the ACT test. And my last year at LaGuardia, 18 out of 19 of my students passed the ACT test. These students had passed the comprehension and the math, but they did not pass the composition. So I've made this formula, and since then I documented it after testing it, and I put it in my book, How to Write Effective Essays and Research Papers, which takes a student from a low grade to an A grade. You definitely get an A grade. You never get writer's block, and you can write 20 or 30 pages quite comfortably. And when I would say that to first timers, one student said to me, I would be repetitious. I said, no, you use my formula of how to write. And I'm finishing up this semester now. And the end of every semester, I would make my students write a letter saying two things that they learned in English 112, 150, or 103. And they would always say, which I had a student, Justin Love and Yeshadi Baptiste, they said when they came in, they knew how to write, so they didn't have a problem. And I gave them to write an essay on transportation in New York, 3 forms. And Justin said, I know everything about New York. And he wrote the essay and it was not done properly. So he called me up and we had a meeting. And he was amazed and he saw it my way, which made it so much easier. And in his final letter, which I made him write to the English department, it's the last assignment to write a letter to the English department. He said, when I came in, I thought I can write. I know everything about New York. And when I got back my paper, I called up my professor. Why did I? And when she explained to me, he said, now it's so much better. He can completely understand how to write 10, 15, 20 pages. I can take a bottle of water and rest it on the desk and ask my students to write. And they would smile. and write, no writer's block. So the formula is in my book, How to Write Effective Essays and Research Papers. Even PhD students use my formula at times.
I do not want you to give away the formula, but could you at least share with us maybe one key point in writing effectively?
Basically, a standard essay, I would start my students off on a standard essay. And a standard essay has 5 paragraphs: the introduction, the conclusion, and 3 body paragraphs. So the 3 body paragraph, if I ask you to write 3 forms of transportation in New York City, you would say, okay, I'll take the train, the bus, and cars. So my formula is points and expansion. If you know what you want to write about, then no one can stop you from writing. So if you're writing about 3 forms of transportation in New York City and you pick train, bus, cars, then you would write that down because those are your points, and then you go across and expand. So when you expand the train, you would put the green, the red, all the 2, 3, 4, all the letter trains, the number trains. When you go to the buses, you would write about the buses that go to different states in New York. You're staying in New York. And then let's say cars, you would have stretch limousine, private cars. So those are your expansions. So when you go to write about the train, you would stay with the train and write everything when it started. So you can write so much about the train. But let's say you start with 1 paragraph because you're doing a standard essay, and a paragraph on the buses, a paragraph on cars. You put in your introduction and your conclusion. So if you know what you want to write about, the minute you get a topic, like your assignment, what is the topic? How to produce, get the candidate or the person, and to produce a great show. So those are will be your points. What you did last Saturday, what you did in the morning, the after lunch, in the night, points. So when you write about Saturday, you would not go out of place. You would not go off at a tangent. If you get water coming from your ceiling, how do you write? You write about the ceiling, you write about the walls, and you write about the ground. You find points. And with a standard essay, you would look at 3 points initially. And from there, I can take them to research papers. I can take them to letter writing. It's easy if you know your points.
So, Miss Nurse, you're now my supporting details.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the book is a very good present. People should get it for students. If you give lectures, if you want to write a book, if you have to do a presentation, it's all about points. So in the book, it tells you how to approach that and how to approach research papers so you cannot go wrong. And 60% of college is writing. And if you cannot write properly, as I tell my students, you will fail. You might have it in your head, but you need to get it on paper. And my formulas are, I think, the best.
So, how would the listening audience, our writers, those in the profession of writing and across the board, how would they get the book, How to Write Effective Essays?
Okay, to get the book, it's at quite a few places. It's at Allen's Bakery, which is in Brooklyn. They asked me there, everybody go there to get their cakes and bake. It's 718-774-7892. That's Allen Bakery, 718-774-7892. You can get it at Ambrosia, which is at New York and Church. That number is 718-469-0985. 718-469-0985. And you can get it at Cultier Fusion Bookstore on Washington. It's 347-482-8035. 347-482-8035. And you can get it at Ishmael Khan Bookstore in Trinidad and Tobago. So everyone listening out there, get this book, support the author, and it is the best present you can give a primary school, high school, or anyone who has a presentation. All the formulas are there.
And the information and the numbers that you just mentioned, your book, A Warm Christmas, that is also available at these locations as well. Let us just delve back um, into the book, A Warm Christmas. What is the universal message you are trying to relay to the readers?
Basically, I'm saying that I enjoy winter Christmases. I love the families, the stories, but you can get just as much effect out of a warm Christmas because there's love, there's family, there's the steel pan, they take you to Tobago, you would enjoy the customs, you dance the parang, so you can live in my book and enjoy it like a movie. I was thinking of movies when I wrote that book, A Warm Christmas. And the young lady, being from England and an only child, ended up living in Trinidad and Tobago because she, for the first time, she ever enjoyed being in regular clothes in December month. So the story, the gist of it is if it's a good read, it can be used also as a English book. You can read it and do a summary on it or book reports and relate it to other authors or other Christmas stories. It can be used like in the fall so that you can relate it to a movie you saw or so that you can show similarities and differences. I'm getting back to my English now. You of yourself as an English professor at Ed Davis College. So from one to the other, the book has a lot in it. The sceneries, the foods, and a lot of the Caribbean islands can enjoy because they enjoy the coconut water, the foods, the beaches. She went to the beach. She had a good time in the Caribbean. So it's a Caribbean story, and people, let's say you're from Alaska and you don't know, and you read it, you will feel the warmth of my book and the warm Christmas.
And it is really important to note that you are speaking about the Caribbean and you are bringing to surface all the scenery that makes up the Caribbean. So, how important it is for writers like yourself to share your story from a Caribbean perspective.
It's great because most of the time the Caribbean is always mentioned. Every island in the Caribbean, people go to St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados. They go to these places for vacation. And for the people who do not know and never went to those countries, then here's an opportunity to see what these people are enjoying and then to identify which is what's happening in the world today, where you can live in someone else's world. And books take you there. We learn about the winter in books and different places. And here's an opportunity to understand what the people in the Caribbean, we know that these people are there, but my God, they dance, they sing, they share with their neighbors, they can be outside in December, and the life they live, they share drinks and food and presence and the love that is there in the Caribbean in the hot sun, which is what you can get from the Caribbean people. That from my book, you can see the Caribbean through my book.
And also through your costumes. You are also a costume producer and designer for the children's band Carrie Can Costumes. I love that name. Tell me a little bit more about Carrie Can Costumes.
American Costume Cultural Center is a nonprofit organization. We mostly give costumes to children. We charge minimal prices. And my children band won 9 years on the street in New York with the West Indian, with
Big.
Viadka Carnival Association. But what we do is sometimes we work with the children. We do workshops. I do a lot of workshops. And the children come in and they do the workshop. They work on their costumes and they would say, what about this and what about that? So you see them being young designers. My friend Giselle Fritz, her two daughters came and now they still call themselves, they're about 16 and 17. And they keep saying, we are young designers. Because that's the theme when I get into the class with the children. And the band helps children who cannot afford. We give out free costumes on Madman Maddie radio show. He allowed us to come in and talk about it, and we would give away costumes. So the goal is not so much to make a big profit. We want to break even, but we want every culture, and we do have a cross section of every culture in our band: black, white, Asian, every Latino, everything we have in the band playing. And on the day we give out toys to the children. Part of the secret is the children normally say, oh, we don't want to walk, but they would walk like for 20 minutes and we will give them drinks. Then we give them snacks. Then we will give them a toy. Then we give them balloons. So by the time they get to the stage, they forgot. One father said, you have my daughter. She walked a mile and I would ask her to go walk with me. He said, what did you do? I said, the technique is I keep their mind occupied until they get to the stage. So our little band, plus I do costumes in Miami last year. I won Female Individual of the Year in Miami. I do adult costumes also, but my main focus is children costumes. And I'm working on a project now where I'm actually looking for a location
Mhm.
where I can teach men. My focus will be on men because in most classes, you find you have about 6 or 7 men when there are 28 students in a class. I want to teach men and get them into college and teach children how to design costumes. So that's what my little organization is looking for now, space, so that we can get men into college and have young designers continuing the culture.
And
That's
you are indeed continuing the culture in partaking in all of these creative aspects that not only celebrates your culture, but as you mentioned, the diversity, which is us. So
yes.
I would, yes. So I would like to again thank you very much, Ms. Nurse, for joining us on Caribbean Focus. I wish you much success in your future endeavors. And I know you mentioned that you have something as far as a performance still pan is concerned, and
Mhm.
will that be a Zoom performance?
Yes, it will be a Zoom performance at Fort Greene on the 23rd of December. That's Remsen, and we are all the pan, the about 15 people who play the pan. We are playing 6 Christmas carols, and it's Fort Greene is supporting that, and it's gonna come in on Zoom.
Okay, and how would our listening and viewing audience get the information to join the Zoom link?
They can log into Fort Greene and they would get the information
Okay,
beforehand so that they can know.
Fort Greene.
Yes, it's Fort Greene organization. It takes care of all the seniors homes in New York, so they do a very very good job. I know it's Fort Greene, and they have different programs on different days. They
Mhm.
give out food to the seniors, and they had exercise and different things. So
Okay.
they are hosting this on the 23rd, so we can play for all the seniors to
Mhm.
keep them in a time like this occupied, so that they can feel the spirit of December. Some people do not celebrate Christmas, so I say the spirit of December going into the new year. So we are celebrating the new year.
Thank you very much again. Thank you, Ms. Nurse, and thanks for joining me and on Caribbean Focus and extending your time. I wish you all the best.
And I want to say continued success to Caribbean Focus, and you, Professor Marcellin,
Yes.
and good luck, and thanks for having me.
You are most welcome. You are tuned into Caribbean Focus on WNYE 91.5 FM and streaming live on Facebook. I am your host, Hermina Marcellin. Thanks for listening and watching. See you soon. Bye.